Yesterday evening, I had an opportunity to hit two thrift shops on the way home. They were in a smaller part of town, and then on the way home, it was like this grand opening of one that opened up a month ago, I believe it was. And I didn't expect much, and there wasn't much, but there was enough. The thrift shop in the small town actually had a massive haul. It was 10 books at that one, but the books that I found were insane. It's insane. Just wait till you see. And then the second thrift shop I hit, the grand opening one, where I was like, it's on a busier part of town and roadway, but man, it looked like I entered a book hell. It's just the organization of the books was insane. Maybe there wasn't enough stock, so everything was like lopsided. It was all over the place. It wasn't categorized properly. It was a terrible book hunting experience. A lot of Ian Rankins, a lot of them, but I didn't eat any of them except two. Anyways, we're gonna get started on the ones that I was the most excited about, because it's a series that I'm like, how am I gonna find these? Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to buy the rest of them new, because they're oddball finds when I do find them, and so I don't expect to find books like this. Assassin's Creed Revelations. So I got another book in the Assassin's Creed franchise by Oliver Bowden, and this pops out to me because, of course, that logo is very hard to miss. It's ingrained in me to find this set, but it's like a series where I have 11 books marked on my spreadsheet, but I think there are more than these, because when I was hunting around for like buying them new, I was like, I might just have to put these on a wish list and hunt them down if I want the collection to just put it behind me, because what are the odds I'm going to find these at thrift shops? It's taken me a year to find 3 of them, and I pulled the first 3 that I found in the last year for context of where I'm at. I found the first book, Renaissance. I actually do want to read this one sooner than later, and these are all in, by the way, great condition. So that's the same Penguin paperback format. And then I ended up finding Assassin's Creed Unity, which is a mass market paperback. I found this one a couple months ago as well. I mean, it's great quality. It's unfortunately not the big paperback, it's the mass market paperback. And then I found this one, which is a completely different design. It actually has like that red Witcher spine. It just dawned on me. I wonder if they did that for marketing reasons. And then this is by Christy Golden and Assassin's Creed Heresy. So these are the first 3 books I had of the 11 I have on my list, but I feel like I saw a list with more than 11 books on it. Anyways, so at this haul, I found Revelations, and then on a whole different shelf, not by this one. You think they'd stack these together so that someone who's looking for this will just pick up all of them? No. I had to go hunting, and I thankfully I found this one right here, Forsaken, which looks like it's Connor, Assassin's Creed 3 on the cover there. Yeah, novelization or possibly extra stories told in the Assassin's Creed 3 storyline. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this one's all about. And again, it's great condition, man. The spines are all in great condition, including this third book I found on a completely different shelf as well. What the hell is wrong with you people? Stock the shelves properly. And it was Underworld right here, also by Oliver Bowden. And what are the odds there, right? Perfect spine as well. I mean, literally perfect condition books, all 3 of these. And look at that. This set of spines are really nice. And so if I find, Assassin's Creed Heresy, like in this format, I'm not sure if that's a thing. If the actually, it's a different publisher. It just dawned on me. Ubisoft is publishing? Yeah. Looks like Ubisoft decided to become their own publisher. Maybe they did it as a crowdfunding campaign. I'm not sure. Penguin books, if they come out in Penguin format, I'll buy the Penguin format ones, because these look really, really nice. And good lord, look at that, just crisp pages. I mean, yes, they're yellowed, but god damn, what are the odds of getting like 3 of them? When I was about to give up, y'all don't understand. The night before, I ended up going to this what's the site called? The Americans have it awesome, man, because it's like no shipping after a certain amount, but the Canadian shipping like doubled. I had like, I don't know, 15 books on there or something like that are on my list, and it ended up costing almost $100. And then by the time shipping was included, it was almost $200. I was like, what? No. No, the prices were really good. And then it was probably American dollar, which then you have to add the tax that's going to hit me at the border. So anyways, I said, no, we're going to give it another shot. Bam, 3 books. That went way longer than it needed to. And then I found this awesome find here. Also an accident. And this was on the second pass. Usually I do 2 or 3 passes before leaving. I just like to chill there for an hour and just really, really thoroughly check the shelves. But look at that. Brandon Sanderson, The Way of Kings, and it's volume 1 of the Stormlight Archive series. This is thick, man. And people weren't kidding around. You get involved in this thing, and 1,000 pages, and you're committing for a massive book. Brandon Sanderson has that writing style that's very fast, is how I kind of feel it. Like, it's not that it's hard to explain. When you read Brandon Sanderson, you'll pick up on it. It's just things just clip along. They clip along, and you're constantly invested in the flow of the narrative. Anyways, I like that I found this Chunky Boy paperback edition. Yeah, the cover only has a couple little dings and nicks. The laminate is kind of like frayed a little bit. It's not even that much. No real hard crease on the spine either. I mean, it's bowed, yes, because it's a tome, but man, I'm excited to have found this one. There's 3 of these in the series. If I like it, I'll buy these ones new, right? My intent was always like when I got into Brandon Sanderson, I would buy these new. But also in my head, I was like, there's so many books by Brandon Sanderson that I just imagined they'd end up on the thrift shelf at one point or the other. And I'm patient enough because I got so many other things to read that I can kind of wait to get into Brandon Sanderson. Because I feel like this could just be one of those roller coaster rides that once I get in, I'm going to want to read as many Brandon Sandersons as possible because they're part of that Cosmere kind of thing going on. And I love world building, and that sounds like epic world building to me, like cosmology level world building. Where am I going to go to next? So what set me off to go on that alt store? What is it called? It's called Thrift Books, the website. And man, some really, really good deals on used books, like pre-library books, that kind of things. The ones that I got in my library haul. Like, I guess this goes on across all North America. Anyways, and then awesome prices. But there was one book where I was like, I'm never going to find this. And I'll give you the background story on this, is that my buddy ended up giving me these hardcovers at one point. He read them. This would have been 25 years ago. It's by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. It's called Well of Darkness. This is volume 1 of the Sovereign Stone trilogy. And yeah, I'm going to have to fix this. There's a little bit of a rip there. But anyways, they were free. My friend gifted them to me, his collection. And so he gave me book 1. He gave me book 2, which is Guardians of the Lost here. But then he had this one. He had the mass market paperback for book 3. And so I can't have this on my shelf. It just can't happen. But then in my head, I was like, how am I possibly going to find the hardcover for book 3? Because there's no way this is still in print. These have been out of print since, I don't know, 2002, 2003, whenever the third book was written in this. But I'm like, yeah, but there's going to be like an eBay. Maybe I'm going to have to pay a little bit more money. Yeah, it would have been a lot more money. I found one on Amazon from a used bookstore, but it was from Germany. And I was like, I don't feel good about ordering something from Germany. The price was decent. The shipping was also decent. It would have ended up like $20 Canadian. I'm like, that sounds too good to be true. And you know what they say? When something sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. So I read some of the comments, and to say some people got nailed with duties on the way in, and it's just like it doubled the entire cost of things. I was like $40 would still be okay if I needed to get it. But I was like, but what are the odds, man? I'm ever going to stumble on this thing in a used bookstore, you know? And then I checked that thrift store that I mentioned, and the price was really good on there, but shipped to an American address, maybe. So maybe when I'm thinking of possibly looking for a place in the States, like in the next couple of years, I do want to look for property down there. And if I'm able to have a property down there, I'm probably going to take advantage of a lot of the American book deals, and American mailing of books is very, very cheap. I've shipped to America, like my books, and I actually have to ship all my books to New York, and then New York ships them to America, and it's a massive mailing deal. Anyways, look what I stumbled on. Literally the next morning. That night I was looking for this. I was going through that entire chaos of like, what am I going to do? Because I need to have the hardcover of book 3. I'm never going to find it. Not only did I find it, man, the pages are white. The pages are white, man. The cover is brand spanking new. It's a perfect edition of this book 3, man. And it was like the second pass kind of thing. It's like I was kind of rolling around and going, I just need one more book because I need to leave. And I look down on and I read the spine, and I'm like, Journey of the Void. That sounds like an interesting book. And I was like, wait. That's what I typed into all my search engines to look for the damn book. So how exciting is that, man? Bam, on my shelf. Oh, what a find. I walked away out of the store at that point. I was like, before something goes wrong, I'm leaving this store right now. This was the second store. This is the one where I picked up 5 books, and I needed to find book 4 and 5 because the store was going to close. And so I found my first Anne McCaffrey book. This one's called Dragon Dawn. I don't believe I don't know where it is. And I still haven't added it to my list, so I don't know where it falls inside that list of books there. But I do remember being a young teenager in the early 90s, and I read, I forget which one it was. It was probably Dragonflight. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, Dragonflight. So the first book of the Dragons of Pern, I got it out of the library, and I read that. Yeah, I was probably anywhere between 10 and 12 years old or something like that, and I enjoyed it. And it was like, I hadn't really delved into fantasy yet, right? And so the whole dragons, the way the dragons worked was really cool. I ended up, it was like this diagram, or maybe I signed out another book that was like the Anatomy of Dragons, and I was drawing all of that stuff. Like I was studying off of the the books of the Dragons of Pern. Anyways, and so I've never really seen a hardcover of any of Anne McCaffrey's books at these thrift shops. And so this is the first one I kind of spotted after a year of going to many thrift shops across Ontario. And so there you go. I found my first one. I figured, you know what? I'm going to get a list of Anne McCaffrey books onto my spreadsheet, and I'm going to keep my eye out on for these because I feel like I'm starting to close a lot of my gaps in my collections, and it's getting harder and harder to find the ones that I'm looking for. They're very rare finds to kind of stumble upon. And so, yeah, we're going to see if I can find some more Emma Caffrey. Moving on, we got a Seth Grahame-Smith. A couple months ago, I finished reading Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would have. And so I found this one right here, The Last American Vampire. Now, there's a graphic novel series by Scott Snyder, and I think he ended up working with Stephen King on some of those stories as well, like the backup stories or something like that, because Stephen King wanted to get into comics. His son Joe Hill was doing comics with. Anyways, I'm derailing. The Last Vampire. It looks like it was previously a library book there as well. It's got that plastic cover on it, so if you remove it, then you basically have a new book, right? There's a couple things on the inside, unfortunately, that you're gonna have to make do with, but the book is otherwise, in good condition. I needed the extra books to bump me over the line, and I figured, you know what, I'd give Seth Grahame-Smith another shot, especially in this theme. I feel like, this feels like the 1920s or 30s, that kind of era. But anyways, I found this one beside two books that I figured, you know what, I put them on the list recently because I'm gonna be hunting down some more Anne Rice novels, and so I found Anne Rice's Lasher and Anne Rice's Taltos. This is part of the Lives of the Mayfair Witches. Unfortunately, I did not find The Witching Hour, so I'm gonna have to take a look for that. I mean, these are really nice quality hardcovers. They got that parchment page feel to them, which I love, and I'm gonna just start increasing my Anne Rice collection. So there you go, 2 of the witch books, and I'm gonna be keeping an eye out on the first of the trilogy. Unfortunately, I wish I had the first one, because then if I wanted to read them sooner than later, I could, but I need to find the first one now. But here's the thing, I've seen a lot of Anne Rice books at these thrift shops. I've just never picked them up because I was intimidated by, again, the run. Her bibliography is long. And I was like, oh, am I going to jump into another one of these? But to be honest, it's like I did enjoy her writing, and I'd love to get back into her world and reread the Vampire Chronicles again and just kind of immerse myself back into the world before I start exploring the other books, because it's been 30 years. It's been 30 years. So we'll see where it goes. Now, the next one, I'm going to start going into non-fantasy. This is a book that I read in university. I studied in university, and it was one of my favorite books to have studied in university. It's On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And, the whole history behind this one is that Jack Kerouac, in his attic, he ended up having a roll of wallpaper, and he just type until this whole thing was done. And that was kind of, I was like, is that an urban legend? Is that real? I'm not sure. Anyways, I do recommend this book. This is a 5. It's still a memory. My memory of it is still a 5 out of 5. I road trip because of this book. Do you understand? Like, I read this when I was in my early 20s, and I love doing long road trips, especially if it has to be in silence or going into the smaller parts of the states or the provinces that I'm driving through, or if I'm in Europe. I don't mind going off the beaten path and just eating at the smaller diners and the truck stops, to be honest, and just talking to strangers along the way. Even with buddies, going with buddies is what I was doing in my 20s. Lately, it's just been I just solo road trips. I love just getting out there and enjoying the road. I love enjoying the road. And so I saw this thing in the kids section in the second thrift shop I went to on the road, and I actually thought it was Cormac McCarthy's The Road, and I was like, what is this doing in the kids section? So I pulled it out and I put it in my basket, because I'm like, I gotta put this in the right spot, because a kid can't be reading The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Are you nuts? And then when I was like, oh man, I gotta find a 5th book because I gotta get out of here, and I was like, I still gotta put this back on the shelf, and I went to put it back on the shelf, and I was like, wait, On the Road, the original scroll. I was like, oh. And then I actually read the actual the author. I mean, just read the author, Jack Kerouac. I didn't. I just saw The Road. Look, I don't know, man. I was panicking. I was just moving. I saw it in the children's section. I didn't want it there. It has the cool. Let's just move on. We have the cool page texture with the tooth stuff on this one. Feels good, and it's in great condition. It's got that matte feeling on it. It feels almost like cardboard paper, cover here. And it just feels cool, man. The book feels cool. And when I realized it was oh my God, it's On the Road. And I was like, I'm not putting this back. I'm taking this with me. And I was like, I need a 5th book anyways. And so I walked away with On the Road. And so I would love to reread this book, to be honest. It's been on my mind to do a reread because it's been 25 years or so. I want to be inspired again, because there's this story I started writing, and I got this prototype of an 8-page comic of it. It's going to sound weird, and it's a weird derailment inside this vlog here, but it's called Gypsy Road. And it's about a Minotaur who was a developer on an MMO called The Labyrinth. And he quits his job and he just hits the country. It's like a Canadiana kind of thing. Next thing I was going to explore. Anyways, we're going to move on. Weird little thing. The pages are out there somewhere. People want to see it. It's weird. He's eating in a diner. He's talking to the guy who's trying to get him back to go to his work. Anyways, we're going to move on. I found two more Ian Rankins at this place. I found a mass market paperback version of the last of the Jack Harvey books that I needed. There are 4 of them, and Witch Hunt was the last one, was the gap inside that collection for the Ian Rankin. It says here Ian Rankin writing as Jack Harvey. I thought Jack Harvey was the character of these. It wasn't going to be Inspector Rebus, you know? I thought it was just another character. No, I guess not. And then I found, this was the first book I found while I was there. It's called West Wind. And as soon as I saw that spine right there, I was like, I do not have that in my shelf of almost 30 books, I think, at this point. I think I'm at the 35 or 36 out of 45 or 46. And we're getting there. We're getting there. It's 1 year of collecting. This is one of the newer books, West Wind here. And it's in perfect condition. You hear me saying it a lot because I love when I find them in perfect condition. We're going to move on, though, because there are a lot of Ian Rankin books. Here's the thing. I don't expect to find any more Ian Rankin books anymore. Like, at this point, they're getting extremely hard to find, or maybe some of them aren't even books, and I don't even know that yet, you know, where they released digitally, where they just mass market paperback, but it was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and they're out of print. No other publisher's ever taken them on again. I have no idea. I might have to do some research into the ones that are remaining, because there's like 10 remaining or something like that. And just got to make sure they're not part of a collection or something weird that's going to make me never find them, but I'm constantly hunting. And the second thrift shop I went to, it must have had, man, 20 Ian Rankin books there. Yeah, different formats, different versions, right? But I have some of them marked as paperback on my list so that if I see a hardback, I'll buy it. Or the bigger paperback, you know, I'll replace them. They're cheap anyways, and I get one for free when I buy 4, etc., right? Anyways, and then Jack White was a new author that I started hunting down because of the haul where I pulled like 6 of Jack White's books from one of my thrift shop outings. This is of a new series that I do not have any books for. The ones I do have a lot for is A Dream of Eagles. There are 7 in that series, and I got 4 of them. Then there's the Golden Eagle miniseries, I suppose, companion miniseries. I have both of those. We have Knights of the Black and White. That's the Templar trilogy. I have 1 of 3 of those. And then this is the Guardians of Scotland right here. So, and I got 1 now, and this is also a trilogy. So, but anyways, Jack White, I hope I enjoy his writing because I have committed to the entire haul of Jack White books. I will have his bibliography in my possession. And then I found another very lucky one. And now this is lucky in a weird way because in an old library book haul, I ended up mentioning Nora Roberts. I ended up having 2 books, 2 of the series. I don't remember the first one. This was one of the ones that I had, Of Blood and Bone. This is part of the Chronicles of One trilogy. And by God, look what I found. I found a Nora Roberts, Year 1, Book 1 of the trilogy. So at least I can start it. Because what ended up happening with this library book haul that I was gifted is that I ended up having Book 2 of 2 different trilogies. So now I have on my list at least those 2 trilogies so I can find and complete those. Now, Nora Roberts is a name I see a lot, but she's usually in the romance section, which is why I'm like, I'm never going to buy these, you know, but these particular ones, they feel like they have a fantasy vibe to them. And because I have 1 of the trilogy and it was free, I figured I could just get them on sale anyways, and then see if I like them. If I don't, just give them to someone else, you know what I mean? But for $6.50, I mean, why not? This one's in a perfect quality state right here, and so can't go wrong. They had Book 2 there as well. Unfortunately, they didn't have Book 3. Damn it, right? Because I could have just put this one behind me, moved on. But I probably see 10 to 20 Nora Robert books there, and she has a massive bibliography. Like, if you flip to any bibliography in her books, it's definitely intimidating, but like I said, thankfully, because she's a romance author, it seems predominantly, I'm not going to collect Nora Roberts, but I'd like to at least dabble. I'd like to try new authors here and there and just see what they output, right? Because maybe I will like it. Maybe I'll surprise myself, you know. Anyways, then I needed the final book so I could walk out of the store because it was closing. I had no other choice, and so usually I go to anything that's an anthology, especially if it's about ghosts or UFOs or zombies or something like that. I'll just get an anthology of that, illustrations and whatnot in it. And I've got a couple of these in my collection, and so why not one more? Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits, and Haunted Places. I like the way that it's formatted. It's ultimately what made me want to just pick it up, even though, like, and not just hunt down something else. There was a couple other books I would have done if it's like, okay, I'll just get something just to get out of here with a free book, you know. It was like, but why am I not getting this as a free book? It'd be a free book, so why not? I mean, maybe not this one, but one of the 5, you know what I'm saying? But the way the entries are done, they kind of appeal to me. There's these like short little blurbs, and usually what I do with these short blurbs is I get short story ideas. And then I get to write something based on it, based on these ghost stories or something like that, just if I want to have fun. And I do. I want to write more short stories. And so I am going to be pulling out all my collections like this and just kind of seeing if what inspires me to move forward with that idea. If not this year, then next year I definitely want to try to get some more writing done. So that's it. That's the 20 book haul from these 2 thrift shops. I get to organize these now on my shelves. I get to put them away, and I'm so happy that I got to fill so many of these gaps. But I really do feel like I'm starting to hit a wall. I say I'm going to hit a wall, and I come back with like a 15-20 book haul for all of you every month. Man, so anyways, maybe this is going to slow down. I don't know. Christmas time is coming around again. It's crazy. Almost a year has passed since I started getting back in the books, and I'll do another vlog on what I've read. I think I've read something like 9 books in the last 7 days. So it's like I got a pretty good run in. I'm getting used to the cadence of reading again. Whenever I can multitask, I'll audiobook it while I'm doing something on the side. If I have access to an audiobook of the books that I have, I will hybrid read because I can ×2 speed that. Or if it's on the browser, I even ×3 it if I have to, right? Because if I'm reading and absorbing, I mean, things just go so damn fast, man. I tried a couple audiobook services. I hated both of them because they don't say they're limited, but then when you use them, they're like token based, and I don't need that. I need unlimited. Like, give me something like Netflix for audiobooks. How does this not exist out there? It looked like Scribd was the one that was possibly offering that. I'll give you the names of these in case you're all interested. Scribd became Everand, and so Everand is token based, and I was like, wow, no, it's great. You can go ×3 even in Everand, but I was like, but I don't want to be limited to 3 books for that money. Like, anyways, I could just organize my reading differently. And then the second service I tried looks like it's a European one, and for non, I guess, North Americans, it's really, really good, and there's a pretty decent selection. But for Canada in particular, it sucks, and based on the comments I read, for the US, it's also not that good, but it's called Storytel with 1 L. Storytel. Check that out. If you're not in the States, looks like a really, really good deal. If you're into getting through a bunch of audiobooks, it looks like they got a pretty decent selection for all of you. It doesn't look like there's limits. I'm actually hybrid reading the Hellboy books because those are the only ones I found on the service. I was like, everything else is not available in Canada, so I guess I'm canceling. Unfortunately, you made me pay first before I could find this out. So anyways, small little review on Storytel from a Canadian perspective. Don't do it. And I 1-star reviewed them on the app, and I blasted them with a comment because you shouldn't be doing that. That's a terrible user experience. Tell people what they're getting up front before they pay and give you their information. You know what I mean? That really sucks. Anyways, weird derailment near the end there. I'm going to wrap this one up, and I'm not sure when I'll be back next with another book haul. I think I finally hit a wall for a little bit. We'll see. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire. Ready. Peace.